Welcome to the superpilotish channel. My name is Graham Wilson, and today I'm going to be talking about flying and farting in my basement. I'm not going to be farting in my basement, though. At least I hope not. Anyways, it's a funny topic to bring up, but it's something that every pilot does, and well, everybody does. You always think about like I wonder what would happen if you met the king or something like that, and he lets one rip. Like, what do you do? Anyways, it's a funny thing to talk about, but hey, that's physiology. It happens to everybody. So we're going to talk about that today. So I guess I'm going to start off with kind of explaining the main reason why you might actually fart a little bit more on an airplane than normally, I guess. So yeah, I got my can of beans here. I won't be doing much with that, but I'll start off with, like, say you're on an airliner, okay? And the airliner, it looks, all those airliners, they all look like tubes with wings on them, right? And the reason that they look like tubes is because they're pressurized, just like your favorite bubbly beverage. So there's, like, what happens if you shake it up and then you open it. Well, I'm not going to do that, but if you, yeah, you can feel it's kind of hard to squish when it's not open. So yeah, that's the way that the fuselage on an airplane is. That's why an airplane looks like that, except it comes to a bit of a point at the front for aerodynamics. And that's because the pressure inside the airplane when it gets up to altitude is more than the pressure outside. So just like a pop can, it kind of wants to go out. But the pressure inside your fuselage in the little pop can that's flying through the sky, that actually, it's not exactly the same as if it's on the ground. So it's basically, usually what they do is they'll pressurize the cabins to about the pressure that would be at 5,000 feet above sea level. So you take off somewhere, I don't know, around here, Windsor, our elevation is around 600 feet above sea level. You take off and you're going up, and then so the inside of your fuselage is going to be about 5,000 feet, but maybe you're up actually at 18,000 or 30,000 or something. But the difference between 600 feet and 5,000 feet, now that's less pressure. So there's less pressure holding various gases in your bowels. So the just like your pop can, now the just like the pop can is, it kind of wants to expand like that. You're like, all the gases that are in your stomach, they want to expand too. So oh, hey Corey. Yeah, so if your gases are expanding in your bowels, there's only one place for them to go, right? So it's farting time. So that's you can kind of anticipate that. And but talking about, and I was trying to think about the, like, did they talk? I remember studying in college about expansion of gases in your body going from a lower altitude to a higher altitude. And so I got out the basic handbook for human factors for this is what, if you're studying to get your private pilot's license, this is the book that they say you should read, and no one ever does, but they do cover that in ground school. And it really doesn't talk too much about that. It talks about the only physiology in here is really having to do with your ears and sense of balance and stuff like that. So it's like, wow, so they didn't teach us about farts until we got into the advanced handbook, which was for your commercial license. And hey, Jordan. So here we go. Okay, yeah, and if you can't attend class, please come back later anytime you want. Yeah, so here we go. And I was taking a look in here, like, did they ever mention farts in the book? So I start looking at it, and just in the index, and it's like, I don't see anything about that, but I did see on page, I think it had to do with cabin depressurization and trapped gases. Okay, here we go, page 63. So this is, but they don't mention farts. That they mention all the other gases you got in your body, but no farts. Anyways, so here we go. Yeah, so I'll just kind of read a little bit out of the book here, what it does tell you, and this is something that you could probably encounter this when you're flying even a little airplane. If you're flying up to 5,000, 7,000 feet, that could make a difference in various gases that are trapped in your body. So there's this. We'll start with the most common one. It's called barotitis. Barotitis. So the most common form of trapped gas is barotitis or middle ear block. So this is where you're going to get kind of pain in your ear if maybe you got a cold or something. Let's see what the book says. In flying, this occurs during ascents or descents and is most noticeable closer to the ground. The air in the middle ear is unable to immediately equalize with the changing outside pressure because the eustachian tube is blocked. So the eustachian tube is like you got the inside of your ear, and it's this little, I don't know, I guess you would call it, it's like a tube, and it kind of goes to the back of your throat, back of your nose, kind of all that nose throat stuff. It's all kind of together. And if that's blocked up, then things can't drain from your ear into your throat, or you can't. The air won't pressurize with your the middle ear, or it won't be the same pressure. Okay. Eustachian tube is blocked, especially in cases of inflammation due to a cold or allergy. During ascents, that means you're going up, the pressure in the middle ear is higher than the outside pressure and causes the eardrum to bulge outward, sometimes painfully. So that's kind of what I was talking about, where your the gas inside your bowels, it's going to make your butt bulge, and you're going to be letting one rip. So anyways, but for your ear, it'll kind of want to bulge out if the pressure doesn't equalize there. During descents, that's coming down, of course, the outside pressure is greater and causes the eardrum to bulge inward. Okay, in cases of extreme pressure differential, the eardrum may even rupture, thus alleviating the pain, but likely resulting in temporary grounding. Yeah, or you're going to be deaf. Okay, the standard technique for clearing middle ear block are yawning, swallowing, or using the Valsalva maneuver, which consists in holding the nose and then blowing out gently against it as if blowing the nose. In most cases, this will open the eustachian tube and equalize the pressure. So, yeah, if you're going up, some people like to chew gum or yawn, and then it kind of opens up that eustachian tube. But if you're descending, you want to kind of, it's the pressure's making your eardrum go in, so you hold your nose and pop it back out. You might even hear a little bit of a pop. So that works great if your eustachian tube is nice and clear. And hey, Dustin, welcome. So that was the one. And then another thing that the book doesn't mention. So they say if you have a cold or an allergy, your eustachian tube can get blocked. But another thing that can happen is if you have a buildup of earwax in there, and this happened to me. I don't know why, but it's kind of like it happened to me first when I was like 30. I woke up one day and I couldn't hear out of one ear. I'm like, oh man, this isn't good. So I went down to the doctor, and he takes a look in there, and he's like, oh yeah, too much earwax. So he got this little syringe, and he had this. I don't know. It was like this. He had a syringe filled with liquid, and he stuck a little cup under here, and he went, and he squirted it in, and all this gross stuff came out. And I'm like, what did you use for that? He said, oh, it was like 50-50 mix of warm water and hydrogen peroxide. And I was like, oh, I could have done that at home, now that I know how to do it. So a few years later, my other ear blocked. So I went down to the pharmacy and I said, oh, you got any hydrogen peroxide? And they said, yep, right here. Okay, cool. And I said, you got like any kind of syringe? They said, yeah, over in the children's section, they have these ear syringes is what it's called. So it's just made out of rubber. It's not going to, I don't know. And yeah, you can just suck up a little bit of you give it a squish, suck up some hydrogen peroxide. And now what I did was and this can happen, especially if you're working, like at the time I was working in a machine shop, and it was a really dirty machine shop and actually kind of loud. So I'd be putting earplugs in. And then over time, all the dirt and earwax, and you're putting the earplugs in every day, and it's squishing your wax and compacting it and compressing it, and then eventually that's blocked. So that would also keep it so if you were flying, um, the pressure inside and outside, it'd be kind of weird on your eardrum. So I noticed that, and about every 10 years, I can tell the earwax is building up. So you're in the shower, you don't want to make a big mess with all the gross stuff coming out. So just take a little squirt, shoot it in the ear, forget about it. And then you can hear it kind of going, you can hear it working and dissolving all the earwax. And lately now, if that ever happens to me every 10 years, I just put just a little drop in there and forget about it. And then you can actually the hydrogen peroxide will kind of bring all the gross wax and everything to the back of your throat. You can kind of taste it. It's not poisonous if you just have a little bit. Just tastes a little gross, earwax. But hey, it's physiology. And that happened to me just a little while ago, or I don't know, a couple of years ago. And it was I was getting a little bit nauseous when I was flying in the plane, and I couldn't figure that out. And then I actually like kind of cleared out my ears, and it was like, oh, after that was perfect. So I think what was happening, there was some kind of pressure in there when I was up in the air, and it was probably messing around with the there's this other part of your ear that are called they're called otoliths. It's these three little rings, and they kind of tell your brain what angle your head is at, and if it doesn't match up with your eyes, that can make you nauseous or even make you kind of dizzy. So anyways, there we go. So, and like they say, the only thing that you should put in your ear is your elbow. So yeah, just rinse it out. It kind of takes care of itself. That's another tip that they don't tell you in the book. And if of course, if it's any problem, go to the doctor and check it out. Because I noticed when I was going for my my pilot medical, he'd always look in my ear and go, "Oh, you got a lot of wax." So it's like, okay, it's going to be time to hit the hydrogen peroxide at some point. So I'm good for another 10 years probably. Okay, so that was the one thing, barotitis. Okay, barosinusitis is a condition of the sinuses, similar to that of barotitis in the middle ear. Sinus blockages usually caused by an allergy or a cold. Prevent the equalization of internal and external pressures. The ensuing pain can be excruciating to the point of incapacitation. And the condition is not relieved by the Valsalva maneuver. That's plug your nose and pop your ears out. Pilots should therefore be very wary about flying with a cold or hay fever. Yeah. So that would be, I've had it where, just kind of getting over a cold, went flying and I went up there. I could feel some pressure, like just kind of in the sinuses in the back. It went away, but I could see that if you had a really bad cold and you just went up there, so you got some gas in your nose that's stuck, it's got nowhere to go. You're all stuffed up, and then you get this pressure in your head. So that's not good. And one of the things that maybe you didn't think, I've never encountered it, but it's something that it's called barodontalgia. It sometimes even happens that air gets trapped in a filling or cavity in your teeth. As the pilot ascends, this gas expands, exerting pressure on the tooth and sometimes causing severe toothache or jaw ache. Such a condition, known as barodontalgia, can be best remedied by a dentist. Be sure to advise your dentist that you are a pilot to ensure that preventative measures are put in place. Yeah, so you can even have like trapped gas in your teeth, and that would cause pain. So, and Wrench is here too. Hi, Wrench. Yeah, so that's what the book says. Doesn't say anything about farts. So I will be the expert and tell you about the farts. Okay, here we go. So it's all about expanding gas when you go up. In your little pop can here, your 5,000-foot pop can. All right. So how can we avoid the farts? I don't know. Yeah, basically, or any of the other gases that are in your body that expand when you get up to a higher altitude. You gotta keep and that's one of the reasons why pilots have to do medicals every once in a while, just to make sure things are okay. You gotta, if you have or brush your teeth, like you could have troubles with pain in the teeth. Okay, what should I call this on the whiteboard? How to avoid the farts? I don't know. Oh yeah, I'll give you a couple little tips there. How's that? Okay. You won't be able to, but you can mitigate the damage of the farts, I guess. Avoid the farts. All right, here we go. Underlined in blue because it's so important. Okay, number one. Oh, wait. I can never tell which is which here. That's blue. Okay. Um, yeah, then I've also heard never trust a fart too. Anyways, what else we got here? All right, number one. Okay, this is a tip for anybody flying anywhere. Before you go flying, no fast food. This is the number one. No fast food. How do you like that? Avoid the farts. But that could be something too, where if you're having fast food, like anytime I've seen people get nauseous on an airplane, it's always after going to McDonald's. Like it's just like, oh yeah, I had a great big breakfast with all this grease, and or they have a Big Mac combo, extra supersize my fries, man, great big thing of pop, like so that's another thing too. If you're drinking carbonated beverages, whatever that beverage may be, you're going to have all that gas in your stomach. So once you get up to altitude, it's that's going to expand. So you're going to be burping too. So, and that's another thing. You might think, big deal, is just a burp, but you add a little bit of nausea. I'm feeling a little nauseous, and here comes a great big burp. I could get dangerous too. So no matter what, no fast food before you go flying. And the only things that I can really think of to mitigate the farts is, don't go eating a whole can of beans before you go. That could be dangerous. So we're going to say no beans. And you can Google up whatever your favorite food that you love that gives you gas. So we'll say no beans, or cauliflower apparently does that. Cauliflower. All right. There we go. No beans and cauliflower before going flying. And what else? Anyone else got any gas tips out there? I can only think of that for so we've got fast food, beans and stuff. Oh, I guess you could lay off on if you want to be I went out for lunch the other day at this restaurant out by the airport, and I didn't know that they were licensed to serve alcohol there. I just, had a burger and fries and pop, and they were licensed. And okay, here we go. And apparently the owner of the place was, I noticed they had some liquor bottles behind this sort of bar that they had, and I was like, oh, I didn't know you guys were licensed to sell booze. And she said, oh yeah. And she said, everybody flying down to Cuba knows about it. And I'm like, really? So like, is everyone coming in here and just having a little something to take the nerves off of the flight? And she says, oh yeah, it happens all the time. I forget, she said it was like Wednesday and Thursday, someone goes down to Cuba. So I would say, if you are going to be doing that to calm your nerves, I'd say lay off on the beer and stick to hard liquor, something like that. So just carbonated. Oh, here we go. We'll make it kid friendly here. Carbonated beverages. Carbonated beverages. There we go. 3 things. Beverages. There we go. Here we go. So if you do avoid the farts, don't eat any fast food before you go flying. lay off on the beans and cauliflower and do a Google search for your favorite food that makes you fart. And no beer or carbonated beverages before getting on the plane. Yeah, so there you go. Okay, that's I don't know. That's about everything I could kind of think of. I did a couple little notes here on my little cue card, and yeah, that's about it for today. There we go. And what you could do too, if you know somebody that's a little intrepid, they're a little bit antsy about going flying, or they really don't like it. Feel free to show them this video here. I mean, Flyin and Fartin, I called it that because it's real easy to remember. And the thing is, hopefully, I can set some people's mind at ease that there's one less thing you got to worry about if you're flying. And that helps out people, if they got the nerves, even though flying is statistically safest way to go. Okay. And yeah, I'll just kind of go through a few of these. Put that pencil back. I'll go through a few of these comments and see if there's any questions or anything. But I think I managed to welcome everybody that showed up. Here we go. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Corey was talking about, he saw someone get her ears candled and she couldn't walk straight for a while. Yeah, when I was doing some research about, getting wax out of your ears, and I mean, I'd seen a doctor already do it, so I could do that. So, but yeah, as far as that candling, I've heard they stick wax in there and then they pull it out and something like that. From what I did research on that, like candling your ears, it's just not a good idea. Like it's best to not mess around with your ears at all. I don't particularly like putting in earplugs. I do that when I cut the grass. It's pretty noisy. But I always think I'm going to be squishing something into my eardrum and going deaf. But yeah, I wouldn't. Anything that I've heard about ear candling, yeah, I'd be really cautious about that. And I don't think it's not like you can go to the doctor and say, "Hey, hit me up with an ear candle." They won't do it, right? So I'm thinking that is not a good idea. Okay. What do we got here? Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, and that's another thing too, guys. If you ever have like a specific question, maybe like and that's kind of why I have the chat here. So even if you think of a question sometime during the week and you're like, oh, I'll ask him that question. Yeah, I'll look through here. If I see the question mark, I'll bring it up and answer it. So, okay. What do we got here? Oh, okay. And Dan's in here watching too. Hey, Dan, you have a good weekend too. And Shecky, great. Okay. So anyways, thanks for showing up, guys. Today is Friday, pizza day. I'm pretty predictable. I have like pizza like every other Friday kind of thing. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to having a good weekend. Hope you guys have a great weekend too. And so I'll see you guys on Monday because I do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern. And we'll just shut her down. You guys have a great weekend. Thanks for watching. Bye.